So what is demand? Well, demand can be described as the amount of a particular good or service that a consumer is willing to purchase at any given price. If there were to be a change in price for, let's say, carrots, then there will be a movement along the demand curve, as shown by the following two graphs. In the first graph, we see a decrease in price results in an increase in the quantity demanded, while in the second graph, we see an increase in price results in a decrease in the quantity demanded. Though the price and quantity demanded are changing when there's a movement along the curve, a physical shift in the curve is not occurring. A shift occurs when there is an outside factor, other than price, changing the demand. A shift could go to the right, meaning an increase in the quantity demanded at each given price, or the demand curve could shift left, meaning a decrease in quantity demanded at each given price, as shown by the two graphs.
There are 5 demand shifter categories. The first one, consumer preference. A change in preference can have an important consequence for demand. For example, when talking about carrots, a recent study came out about how eating carrots can help improve eyesight. As a result, the demand curve will shift to the right, because consumers will prefer to purchase more carrots at a same given price.
2. Prices of related goods and services. Now suppose the price of ranch dressing were to fall. People who eat carrots enjoy dipping carrots into ranch dressing. The lower price of ranch dressing therefore will increase the demand for carrots since they are complements to each other. As a result, the shift of the demand curve for carrots would be to the right.
Number 3, income. When talking about the consumption of carrots, let's say your income rises. You will increase your consumption of carrots since it is a normal good and cause the demand curve to shift to the right, meaning an increasing income will equal an increase in the quantity demanded at each given price for carrots.
4. Demographic characteristics. In general, the greater the population, the greater the demand. On the other hand, let's say birth rates fall. The demand for infant supplies will decrease, which result in the demand curve shifting to the left.
Finally, number 5, buyer expectations. If buyers expect prices to increase in the future, the demand for that good or service, like carrots, will increase today. The result is that the demand curve will shift to the right.
Let's check how you're doing with a question. An increase in the population would result in which of the following? The answer? A and C. An increase in the equilibrium price and an increase in the equilibrium quantity. The explanation? Population is one of the shifters for demand. If you draw out the graph with a shifter, you're able to see that both the price and quantity increase.
Now, another fact of demand is elasticity. What is the price of elasticity of demand? It is the percent change in quantity demanded of a particular good or service divided by the percent change in price of that good or service, while all other things are unchanged. Essentially, the price elasticity shows the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a price change, assuming that other factors that influence demand are unchanged.
Let's take a look at how you can use your calculation of the elasticity of demand to find out what your new spending is when price increases by 1%. In our example, we start with an initial price of $15 and quantity of 200. This generates an initial spending of $3,000 found by multiplying price by quantity. In addition, we are given our elasticity of demand of negative 1.1, meaning that when price increases by 1%, the quantity demanded decreases by 1.1%.
We start out by finding our new price. We find it by taking our initial price, multiplying it by 1%, and adding our initial price to get $15.15. Next, we find our new quantity by multiplying our initial quantity by negative 1.1% and adding the initial quantity to get 197.8. Lastly, we multiply our new price by our new quantity to get our new spending, which would equal $2,996.67. Question number 2. If the elasticity of demand for broccoli is calculated at negative 1.25, then what would its interpretation be? The interpretation: if the price of broccoli goes up 1%, then the demand for broccoli decreases by 1.25%.
Speaking of spending, what is a budget line? It is a graph that shows the combination of two goods a consumer can purchase within a given budget. If given a budget of $50 and knowing broccoli costs $5 per pound and carrots cost $2 per pound, we can graph the budget line by finding the maximum quantity for each product if we spent that budget on that one product. In this case, the maximum amount of broccoli would be 10 pounds and 25 pounds for carrots. Now, what's an indifference curve? It is the combination of two goods that yield equal levels of utility. Now let's say the price of carrots increases to $5 per pound. Let's see what happens with the budget line.
As shown on the graph, the maximum amount of carrots that can be purchased is 10 pounds with this new price. With this graph, we can make a demand curve with the points x and y that we plotted. This demand curve is for carrots, meaning that we graph 2 points. The first point, when at $5, there's a quantity demanded of 10 pounds. And at the second point, when at $2, there's a demand of 25 pounds. This graph shows the law of demand, which holds that a higher price leads to a reduction in quantity demanded, and a lower price leads to an increase in quantity demanded. Question 3. If an indifference curve in which the combinations of pizza and hamburgers that produce the same level of utility are given, where point A lies below and to the left of the curve, point B lies above and to the right of the curve, and point X lies on the curve, which point will produce the highest level of utility? Answer: point B, because it provides more of both goods than point A and X, and therefore yields a higher level of utility. In general, any point that lies above and to the right of an indifference curve is preferred to any point on the indifference curve.